Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast.
It's our favorite, well, one of our many favorite theme months. I guess all of our theme months are favorites in a lot of, they're just our favorites in different ways. It's our favorite summer theme month.
This is officially my third favorite.
Okay, well, it is Shark Month until we ran out of shark movies, and so it became Stay Out of the Water Month.
Yes.
So we're going to have...
Well, to be fair, we weren't really technically out of shark movies. There just weren't many good ones left.
Yeah. So, in the month of June, for anyone new joining us, we will be doing shark movies. We'll be doing haunted swimming pools. Spoilers. And just like in general, like
water is bad.
Yeah,
kind of movies.
Yep. But today, the very first movie for June / Stay Out of the Water Month is No Way Up, which I suggested this movie, and I'm very excited to hear Jess's suffering because it's a bee shark movie. Ha ha ha. But before,
to be fair, it is a fairly well done B movie.
Yes.
Like it's a fairly high budget B movie.
yes, which we can talk about.
Oh yes.
Later.
Oh yes, we will definitely be talking about later.
But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. First, I forgot to share this in the last episode, but I am using V's My Condition is Chronic, but My Ass is Iconic mug. Thank you, V. I love this mug. And
I used mine yesterday, so it's in the dishwasher.
I know, it's just like...
I love it, though.
It's a part of our
Yes.
our weekly tea mugs.
Yes.
But I am drinking the Republic of Tea Turmeric Ginger Tea. Let me start over. I am drinking the Republic of Tea Turmeric Ginger Tea. It's so cute, isn't it? So if you want like little samplers, you can get, they're like this size of 10, but it's like 3 little like teas. And, oh my God, I love these. But anyways, all of these were like turmeric based. But this turmeric ginger tea has green tea, ginger, cinnamon, honey. Where's the turmeric? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
It's gonna be great.
Okay, it's actually got turmeric, green tea, ginger, cinnamon, and honey. I'm kind of surprised that they went with the ginger. Normally, if it's like a turmeric ginger, there's not really green tea in it, even though I'm just noticing that now says green tea on the very front. Oopsie poopsie. Okay, anyways, haven't tried it before. I'll let you know how it is.
And I'm doing a repeat, but I actually have the can this time. It's the Super Green Tea Brain Boost, and it has, if I can find it, there it is, organic green tea leaf, organic ginkgo leaf, organic Japanese green tea matcha leaf, organic ginkgo leaf powder. So it actually doesn't have berry, even though it says wild mixed berry. I think it's just the ginkgo flavor is more berry-esque,
I don't know.
I guess. But ginkgo is a tree nut, so for those of you with allergies to tree nuts, heads up. It is very tasty, though.
Yep. But thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love, and for our wonderful tea sippers out there that enjoy our chaos. For yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review.
And further chaos.
Yes. Further chaos, our live stream chaos.
Oh, yes.
Just like all of it.
Entertainment.
Yes. Well, for first, a summary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
we
so-
should do that, shouldn't we?
I mean, it's a pretty straightforward summary, so...
Straightforward train wreck of a movie.
So, these group of friends that they're flying on a plane, and the plane has a bird strike, and the plane then one of the engines, if not both of the engines, like,
It was one.
yeah, tears up, and then it opens up a hole in the plane, and they crash into the ocean, and they sink to the bottom. The plane is intact aside from the hole, and so they have to figure out not only about how much air they have left in the plane, but also they can't just easily swim up because they are surrounded by sharks that are more than willing to go into the plane to nom them. And yeah, that's it. So for entertainment, I personally give this movie a 7. Like, it's a B shark movie, but as far as B movies go about sharks, really not that bad. The effects are decent. And actually the CG sharks for the most part look pretty decent.
They weren't bad, yeah.
But why I personally like it is it's almost like a toned down Sharknado in a way that's actually trying to be serious, where it's a ridiculous situation where and a lot of different things that they have to navigate, where it's not just about, oh, these sharks are coming to attack us. So it's like they have to think about air. They have to think about getting diving supplies because they're really deep in the ocean. They have to worry about the sharks. They have to worry about getting rescued. There's so many different elements. Oh, and they're injured, so they have to worry about treating the injuries. So there's many different facets that they have to worry about. And so because of that, it makes it a lot more interesting to watch than so many of these B movies where it's it's this one situation, but they have terrible characters, they have terrible effects, and so and the storyline is flat, so it's just not a lot of interest, and it kind of bores you. This one, I still feel decent effects, but not great. Characters are still, for the most part, not too likable, but they do have a couple of likable characters. But it's just it's the situation itself, at least for me, that carries the movie through. But yeah, I like that the characters are distinct, but many of them are not really that likable. I did like the main girl; she was fairly likable. The grandma, she was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I liked
the grandfather too.
Yeah.
They killed off pretty damn quick.
Yes, they did.
Rude.
And then the main character's boyfriend, he wasn't too bad. He was all right. Yeah, he was okay. But the third wheel friend,
Kyle.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they had killed him off sooner.
Seriously.
And the way that he went was kind of sad and pathetic too.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, the premise of the plane crash with limited oxygen and sharks makes this an interesting but stupid premise. It's so ridiculous, but it's entertaining, right? And oh man, I'm so sad. Some of the characters are rooting for, Brandon. He was such a good character because he was reasonable, he was sensible, he was here's what you're going to do, and they kill him so quickly after the plane crashed. It's God damn it. Which, I understand, he was essentially the bodyguard of the main character because she was the governor's daughter.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, the reason why they killed him off was so that way
they can't have too much help.
Well, and it is also they establish in the beginning of the movie that he's always there guiding her, helping her, being with her. She isn't really doing anything on her own, and that's why they actually ended up sitting in different areas of the plane. So him dying kind of breaks their that I don't know how that guardianship and puts her on her own. So I understand why they did it. But it's still man, he was actually a pretty
could have done better with it though.
Yeah. The way that he kind of went out
it could have been better. It could have been so much better.
But the effects aren't bad. Like, I'm pretty sure they went to one of those studios that actually has like a real plane or like a, actual like movie studio like type of plane.
Yeah.
Because it looked pretty good. And then the actual sharks, for the most part, I mean, there were times where you're like, oh yeah, that's 100% CG. But I like the fact that a lot of the time they had the sharks kind of like shadowed, and that made it a little bit more realistic. But whenever they, like, from at least what I took in, it seemed like they were saving on the budget by having the sharks like shadowed and kind of in the back. But then whenever they did show them up close, for the most part, they looked pretty stinking good. Like, I feel like they saved their budget having most of the sharks most of the time in the background, and then they really spent the budget whenever they're up close to make them like look as good as possible. Because it's like I said, they didn't look great, but they looked by far
look
like
better than a lot of other ones we've seen. For sure.
100%.
I will give you that for sure.
Yep. Oh, and I did enjoy the fact that Brandon wasn't the only sensible person. Because I feel like so many of these B movies are like, oh, one sensible person, and then they die, and then the group is screwed. But, because it's like, then it's like the rest of the movie is like them arguing. But no, in this movie, Brandon's sensible. Jed is pretty sensible. I forgot the main character's name.
I did too.
Dang it. But
we're awful with names.
But she starts off panicked, but then becomes more sensible as she realizes the gravity of the situation and how they need to figure shit out.
Well, and I like that they even show a scene where, like right after Brandon died, where she goes into the bathroom and allows herself just a minute.
Yes.
To break down.
Yep.
And panic a little bit.
Yeah.
And cry.
Yeah.
And then she takes some deep breaths, picks herself up and puts herself back together, and then goes out there and shows as brave a face as she can, if nothing else, for the little girl.
Yeah. And then like her going in like the cargo area of the plane, like she obviously wasn't pleased or really wanted to go, but it's like instead of being like whining and crying about it, she's just like, I'm going to get this done.
She puts her big girl panties on and does it.
Yeah. So I like that there's not really a whole lot of like whining and crying about the situation.
Except from friend Kyle.
Yeah. So like Kyle in particular is like real. It's just interesting because it's like they have the main character where they have these really realistic moments of her, as you said, stepping away, and it's like, yes, she's panicked, but she also wants to get the hell out of there. Like, that is not the way that she wants to go down.
Yeah.
And so she's using that as motivation to put on a brave face and like get stuff done. But then you have Kyle.
What's the alternative?
Yeah. It's like, I feel like any other B movie would just have all of the characters be super whiny,
like Kyle,
and cry, and then just like die.
Yes,
yeah. So
thankfully, this was not all a cast of Kyles.
Yeah. yes. Yeah. But Kyle. Yeah.
You know that song, You, Me, and Your Friend Steve?
Yeah.
Kind of what it felt like for a lot of the movie. Like, why was he even going with them?
Yeah, and he was, like, very, like mean to her, too. Like, the fact that she's nervous about flying.
He was such a dick.
But, like, worst day ever for her. Like, I mean, worst day for everyone, but the fact that she was scared of flying and then that shit happens, it's like, oh, man, that's awful. It's like, she's never going to fly on a plane again. But yeah, it's like overall, like for entertainment, like the situation is interesting. For the most part, the characters that do survive, well, I mean, the grandpa too, but are pretty decent and interesting. But it's just like, I feel like Kyle is just the B movie like go-to. But I'm extremely grateful that this movie had a better variety of characters than just like Kyle personality.
Very well said.
So it made it a lot more ingestible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And enjoyable.
Yes.
I personally give it a 6. It wasn't horrible. We've definitely seen better movies, but we've also seen way worse. Way worse. So, I mean, it's okay. It was all right. I will say I stopped taking notes after a certain point because otherwise it would just be a huge long list of no.
Of the realism?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, the whole damn movie is a big-ass no.
100%.
Just bullshit all around on everything. Entertaining? Sure, I guess.
I
For the
feel like
most
this
part,
is
it was all right.
an intro to B movies if
Yeah.
you're not like a fan of B movies types of things.
This is a fair compromise.
Yeah, like that's why I actually like recommended this movie for us to watch because I'm like, okay, this won't tear Jess apart. This will be
And I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it. But like as far as realism, and we'll get to it, but it's 100% bullshit.
Oh yeah. That's what makes it fun though.
100% bullshit. And it just took me out of the movie watching experience because I'm one of those people that needs a bit more realism. And the entire time I was going, no. 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 That's not how it, no. Like the whole movie. Just about. There were moments here, like their interactions between each other were decent and fairly realistic. But like the premise and the events and everything happening around them, no.
I did like the different character arcs, like with the main character and then the girl like letting the bear go and why she let it go.
That was so sweet.
Yeah, I was so mad that the grandma like I'm gonna die here. I'm like no.
I get it. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
but
that was tough.
Get it.
Yeah,
it was very, very tough. I would much rather she have lived instead of like friend Kyle that was going with, especially since he was injured and she was fine.
Yep.
But so, you know, blood in the water and all that. And also, like, how would his swimming have been any better than hers at that point?
Yeah.
Just saying. And at least she was being helpful the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Like, she was a nurse. Like, she was extremely helpful.
Yes.
She set his arm. Mm-hmm. She helped Jed be more comfortable. It's like she could only do so much with him, unfortunately.
Yeah, she could only
like,
do
his
so much with
missing.
blood loss, but, you know. But it was just... I did love the male flight attendant. He was a delight.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked his attitude.
He was a delight. And when he accidentally spilled some of the beer,
I mean, he's 100%
aisle.
the epitome of how, like, retail workers or any sort of
100%.
customer service.
Any kind of hospitality or customer service type position, just...
Like, oh, another one of these again.
You're a treasure, and I'm glad that you made it so you could propose to your partner.
I know. Yeah, I try to... Okay, Kyle was in the closet, I feel like.
I feel like he had to have been.
Because he was, like, super aggressive towards the male flight attendant. Mm-hmm. And then also, like, later on, I feel like he was kind of, like, complimenting him.
Yeah. And when they were alone, shortly before they tried to leave the plane, and the flight attendant guy mentioned that once we get out of here alive, I'm going back home and I'm proposing to my partner.
And he's
like, be real careful what you say next. And he's like, your partner's a lucky guy. So, either he's a dick about everything else except that, or he's bit closeted.
Yeah, but it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I feel like they're trying to redeem him, but he was just like such an asshole the whole movie.
He was so unhelpful.
Like, no.
The only time he actually somewhat helped was when he was joking with Jed after he lost his leg.
Yeah.
Well, at least you'll hit your weight loss goal. I mean...
Yeah, that was the one.
I mean,
that's kind of funny.
I laughed at that one. That one I'll allow.
Yep.
But yeah, the rest of the time he was just such an unhelpful asshole.
Yep, 100%.
So yeah, it's just I couldn't get quite into it just for the realism and everything just being a big nope the whole time. Just that this is not how anything works kind of movie. But it's not bad. It's definitely a higher budget B movie than we normally see.
It's like
and
a
they
B
did
plus.
they it was a B plus, and the acting for the most part was fairly decent.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of the stuff felt fairly organic. There were a few times where it felt a little forced, but on the whole, it wasn't bad. It was all right, and that's why I give it a 6. It was okay.
Well, okay, so for realism, I feel like yours is going to be like a 0, but I gave it a 1. So first, just to give you some context, I have a fear of flying, and for some reason in my brain, whenever I have a fear about that, whether it be airplanes, tornadoes, whatever, I kind of get a little obsessive and start like learning a lot about them. And so
There are two kinds of people.
I've listened to a lot of stories about like plane crashes and like what Black Box Down, if you've heard of that podcast, like they go and break it down in the technical, like what the industry did to change it. I also like watch Mentor Pilot, which he does breakdowns of plane crashes, but he's a pilot himself, and so he breaks it down. But anyways, so long story short, I have a little bit of knowledge. So first, bird strikes. Even if it's just a little beep, if they know that it's a bird strike, they will always like go back to the closest airport just to assess and verify that there's been no damage whatsoever to the engines. So first, them being like, "Oh, sorry for that rough patch. We're good."
Hope it didn't give you goosebumps.
Yeah, like no, they even if everything was okay, they would have still turned back around. So that was the one bullshit.
Yeah, this all could have still happened after they turned back around.
Yes.
Or while they were turning around.
Yeah. So it's like they didn't even have to like, but it just adds a little bit more realism, you know? But I guess they were trying to show like, oh, everything's okay before like shit hits the fan. Also, the seats are required to hold up under an impact. So that means like with that big hole, like the seats aren't going to be flying off. Also, when they actually have an impact, the seats aren't going to like domino effect and squish people. Yeah. They go through extensive testing, verification, inspection, all of that to make sure that the seats, because the seats are essentially helping keep you alive.
Yeah.
So they're going to make those seats very like crash resistant to help make that happen. Landing on the water is actually much more dangerous than on land. And the majority of the time is because it's very difficult to land on the water in such a way where you don't flip. And once you flip, the plane starts breaking apart.
Well, also, if you hit it at a certain speed head on.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So like the whole like Hudson or Miracle on the Hudson, that whole thing, well, first of all, he was a very, very well experienced pilot, and his first officer was also very well experienced. So 2 super experienced. Even they were nervous about landing on the water, and everyone was still shocked, but despite their experience, that everything came out okay. So if that's the scenario, like pilots absolutely dread landing on the water because they understand there's so many different factors that
So much could go wrong.
Yeah, so much can go wrong. So yes, it might be a little possibility that won't break apart, but it's probably like a 0.5 chance out of like, 1,000% that they're going to probably break apart and not like be in one piece.
At the speed that they hit it and the angle that they hit it.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Oh. And this is another like technical plane thing. So whenever the flight attendant goes back and he's like, oh, this flight attendant was supposed to check the oxygen tanks and she didn't, and so they're empty. No, it's like, I think it's like at least once a week, if not like every other flight, they're supposed to check the oxygen tank levels. And even if they're not like that much depleted, they're supposed to top them up. Like that is a part of the safety pre-check protocol that they have before each and every flight. So bullshit, not gonna happen.
Even if they miss it one flight, it's not going to be that low.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be empty.
Yeah, since you
were
do diving,
empty.
do you perchance have any knowledge on like how long oxygen will
I don't know
stay in a
exactly
tank?
how long, but it's not gonna. They'll last a while.
Yeah.
They'll last at least a few flights. I know that.
Oh yeah. And this is more of a nitpick than a realism, but I don't know if you noticed this, but the hole in the plane got significantly smaller after they
Yes.
had hit the water.
Yes.
And in the
I'm
air.
so glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad it's not just me. God.
And then, oh man, I
I'm
am
sorry.
just.
I'm sorry. I touched the mic. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Oh.
And then, sorry, this is just another like flight thing. So the search party in the helicopter, they should have had what is called a sterile cockpit. And what that means is they're focusing only at the task at hand. They're only focused on flying, and they're only focusing on the search party. Like that's super important for commercial airlines, but especially important. I mean, it's overall very important, but especially important for a search party where if you're distracted at all and you miss something, you could cost those people their lives. Like, unless if they're just not following protocol, but it's just, I felt like it was a little bit too, like, relaxed. So, there's two different ways that a plane gets power. There's through the engines, and then I think they call it like the rat, where it's just like, it's this little fan at the end of the plane that like deploys whenever the engines are off, and that's what helps keep the electrical systems operating. Well, the engines weren't on, and the rat system was hell not going to be operating, so they shouldn't have had any power in that plane.
Thank you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
This is like the perfect like type of movie for us both
Yes.
to review because of the fact
Yes.
that like I'm like freakishly like knowledgeable about planes.
And it's not just me listing all the things of
Yeah. Yeah.
So happy.
I will say though, one thing that I thought was interesting is when they're like, sharks don't like bubbles. I was like, what? What? I looked it up. They've actually done experiments and confirmed sharks don't like bubbles. Now
It's a bit too much movement and too much going on.
yeah, I thought that was really
It
interesting.
messes with their guidance system.
Yeah,
basically.
I would have never guessed for that to be a real thing. And so I was shocked that that was real. That was, yeah. But really clever though for them
Yeah.
to like pull that in and have that as like the distraction or whatever.
It does seem stupid, but it's a thing.
Yep. I mean, it makes sense. They're very like
Yeah.
sensitive creatures. They
have
very
to be.
sensitive. And then on the realism, for the most part, except for Kyle, how the characters coped with the situation, I thought felt like really realistic. Like how the grandma was trying to protect the grandchild, but and the grandchild was like seeking out validation to try and find comfort. It just like how the main character girl was handling it, how the boyfriend was like trying to support her. It just like, I mean, I feel like the flight attendant, he was more like, let's stick with what we know and try and, you know, so I didn't really get a whole lot of reaction from him. but from what they showed, he was pretty reasonable. And then Brandon mentioning about like watch for the buckling.
Yeah.
Of now. Yeah. The only thing that, so I honestly don't, from my understanding, there was one plane crash where I think it was a French flight or something, but they crashed and the airplane miraculously like stayed like intact, and that was like extra freaky because when they found the plane, they just saw the people like sitting buckled in their seats. Like,
yes.
So anyway, so there, I think, planes to an extent can handle the pressure because they go up in the air. There's a lot of pressure in the air, like it vacuum seals, but it's not going to be like a submarine. It's not.
Yeah,
that
definitely
same,
not.
Like,
and that's what they said at one point, was especially with the metal that they used.
yeah, because it's aluminum. It's like a light.
Much more pliable and light. It has to be for air travel.
Yeah, so I feel like,
but it's not ideal for deep sea.
Yeah, so I feel like it's a mixed bag on that one. So it's like it's possible, but not like super likely. But I appreciated that they brought that up. So that's what I got.
Again, my list would have been huge, and we would have been here all day if I just listed all of the nope.
Hopefully, I mentioned quite a few of the ones that
Yes,
you
and I'm
would have.
so thankful for it. I'm so proud of you. I give it a 0.5, only because of the interactions. That's legitimately it.
Except for Kyle. Kyle, the part of the...
Even though I hate his character, like, he's still a believable type of person.
Yeah, he just like the asshole jock type of... that you're...
douchey kind of friend.
Yeah.
That, like, why are you here kind of person.
Yeah.
You're not helping.
Yeah.
But the plane definitely would have been history. The flight attendant dude was pumping a little too fast for chest compressions, and they should have turned her on her side instead of straight sitting up right off the bat.
Yeah.
That was a small nitpicky thing, but it really does bug me a little bit. Drowsiness, when Brandon was listing off the things to look out for, is also a sign of adrenaline wearing off, but I mean, fair. Dude had a compound fracture, Kyle, but didn't seem to be bleeding at all. I'm sorry, he would have been bleeding everywhere, and it would have been a problem. It would have been a problem. But I mean, at least tie it off higher than the break. And he's like, no, we'll get to it later. Like, this isn't a big deal. We'll get to it later. Bones sticking out of his arm, but we'll get to it later. We don't even need to try to tie it off first or anything, just as a stopgap measure until we can get to it.
It's the bone
later.
that's blocking the blood.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine, That plane that they kept showing the inside of was too small for the sharks to get around in.
And they seem like way too willing to like just go in there.
Yes. Sharks cannot swim backwards. How are they getting back out of the plane? They can't turn around. It's too small. They can't maneuver properly. So the whole big freaking movie is a giant ass nope.
Yeah, because the planes are like being packed in a sardine can.
Yes.
And there's not a whole lot of like room
There's
between
really
like
not.
the head and the
There's
overspace
not.
bin. So it's like.
And how did the shark get in the cargo hold? And when they were leaving, how did the shark get to the grandmother? It didn't pass the group to go back there. And you cannot tell me it came out of the goddamn cargo hold. With a shark that they showed, there's no way in hell it would have fit through there. It's not a rat. It can't compact its rib cage.
Oh, rats can do that?
Yes.
Oh,
Collapsible rib cages.
wonderful.
Yeah. They can, that's how they squeeze through
Oh,
super small things. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Sorry to burst your bubble there. But yeah. Just whole movie. Whole movie. No. It was also super convenient that the grandmother was a nurse. And a wartime nurse at that, like a triage nurse. But yeah, it's just whole movie is a no. Now, going back a little bit, how they could have done better with Brandon. Because it's been bugging me this whole time.
I'm excited to
They
hear your thoughts.
mentioned at one point that the mother died from an accident where she drowned.
Yes.
And his regret was that he wasn't there.
Yes.
Because he felt like if he was there, he could have done something. So I feel like they should have kept him for longer.
So he could finish like that arc of his
Yes.
character.
So even if he did die like on the way up, protecting her, like getting in the way of some other shark trying to eat her so she could get up, so long as he saw that she was going to survive, I feel like that would have been a little bit of redemption for him there. Like he would have passed better there.
Yeah. But then it would like ruin her whole thing about doing everything on her own.
A little bit, but he could have also, like, throughout the movie, have stepped back and let her take the reins there. Like, if she stepped up. Like, while he's doing this, we need to be doing this. Yeah. And, well, if you got hurt by getting, cut or something on some metal while he was down there and they're patching him up, you're in no fit condition to do anything right now. We need to be doing this. Let me take the rein on this.
Yeah, because I almost feel like them having him have that regret about her mother and having that whole storyline about her mother kind of almost took away from that. Because, as you said, it's like the way that the movie currently has it, it's like there's no resolve with that, really. But I do like the fact that she, like, takes on her own. But it's like I feel like if he lasted longer, then that would still be like she would maybe, like, fall back to him. I don't know. It's like...
It depended on how they would have done it.
Yeah.
It really depended. But the way they had it, he was really only there to tell them, check the level, look out for buckling, and watch out for drowsiness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, his character was kind of pointless. They could have mentioned any other way that her mother had drowned.
But I feel like they didn't even need her mother as like a...
They didn't, but it showed her fear of dying in that place.
Yeah.
Because it's either suffocation from lack of air or drowning basically on the way up or getting eaten by sharks. Like, those are your three options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you find what you need to get to the surface safely.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
Yep. Yeah, it's like... Overall, it's like, it is a B movie, but like we said, it's a B plus movie due to the fact that they have them in this like very varied situation where it's just like choose your death type of thing. So it's interesting to see how like they all like navigate the situation, but not a good movie by any means. But if you like,
It's not
good,
great. It's all right.
like weird, well, not weird, but if you like a bad shark movie. And you've been kind of like bored with some of the recent ones that have come out, give this one a try. You might find it a little bit more interesting.
And they don't focus completely on the sharks.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a third, like it takes up a third of the space of the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It's just an added crap kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of showing you why they can't just... Well, I mean, first they need oxygen.
Yeah.
But then it, as an additional obstacle, is like, oh, we can't just like swim out of the plane. We also have to like worry about sharks. But yeah. Well, Thank you for joining us today and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
If you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and a PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Republic of Tea available. It does not affect the price of the tea, it just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye!